The conversation around women's basketball has reached a boiling point, and at the center of it is a level of disrespect that's becoming impossible to ignore. On one side, a narrative is being pushed that completely undermines Caitlin Clark's place in the league hierarchy, stripping away context, achievements, and impact as if none of it matters. On the other side, personal drama involving Angel Reese is being pulled into public discourse in ways that blur the line between sports analysis and entertainment spectacle. What makes this situation even more explosive is how quickly the discussion shifts from basketball performance to personal narratives, relationships, and media-driven controversy. Instead of focusing purely on production on the court, the conversation expands into reputations, social media behavior, and perception battles that go far beyond the hardwood. And right at the center of this storm sits Caitlin Clark, a player whose influence on the league is undeniable, yet constantly debated in terms that feel more emotional than analytical. That tension is what fuels everything unfolding now. The most controversial claim emerging from this discussion is the idea that Caitlin Clark is not even close to being the top-tier force many believe her to be. That argument doesn't just question her ranking, it completely rewrites her place in the modern game, comparing her trajectory to players who never reached superstar status.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. Now I'm here to tell you we got a bunch of stuff to talk about in this one. We got one WNBA reporter that's flat out saying Caitlin Clark is not the best player in the damn league. Then we got Sophie Cunningham landing on thick for Angel Reese, man. Now Angel Reese has been finding herself in drama per usual. This should not come at any surprise that she's posting things.
What's going on, guys? She's posting things and saying things. That opening sets the tone for a conversation that immediately dives into conflict-driven storytelling, where Clark is positioned in a debate that strips away nuance and replaces it with harsh comparison and bold claims. The issue with this type of framing is that it ignores the broader context of her impact. Caitlin Clark's presence alone changes defensive schemes, forces rotations earlier than normal, and stretches spacing in ways very few rookies ever manage. Historically, players who generate this level of attention, whether it was early logo range shooters or elite playmakers, don't get dismissed this quickly in their careers. Instead, what's happening here mirrors a recurring cycle in basketball media. A young superstar enters the league, dominates attention, and immediately becomes the subject of extreme comparison. The problem is that these comparisons rarely account for pace adjustment, roster fit, or defensive attention. The consequences of this narrative are significant. It doesn't just shape public opinion, it influences how every performance is interpreted moving forward. Every missed shot becomes evidence. Every quiet game becomes a talking point. That's the pressure environment now surrounding her. While one side of the conversation focuses on Caitlin Clark, another storyline shifts attention toward Angel Reese and the surrounding interpersonal drama being discussed publicly. This is where basketball analysis starts blending into personal narrative, creating a completely different layer of tension.
And she has some things to say about Angel Reese, man. Let's pull it up. Let's listen.
But the most fun one, in my opinion, I can't wait to show you this graphic.
Fun is insane.
Fun is it? So essentially, Jalen Duren, Wendell Carter Jr., they're facing each other in the playoffs right now, Magic and Pistons. Wendell Carter Jr. is dating Angel Reese, who is Jalen Duren's ex. So now these two dudes are playing each other, they're guarding each other, and Jalen Duren averaged.
And she has some things absolutely crushing his game on. The discussion moves into relationships, competitive psychology, and the idea that off-court dynamics can influence on-court performance. Whether that's accurate or not, the perception alone becomes part of the story. Historically, the NBA and WNBA alike have seen examples where external attention becomes part of a player's mental load. From media scrutiny affecting shot selection to social media narratives impacting confidence, the psychological side of the game is often underestimated. In this case, the conversation draws comparisons to big-bodied interior players who rely on rhythm and physical dominance. When that rhythm is disrupted, whether by defensive pressure or mental distraction, the efficiency drops significantly. The comparison to league legends here is important. Great players don't just survive scrutiny, they compartmentalize it. Legends like Diana Taurasi or Sue Bird built careers on ignoring external noise and maintaining production regardless of narrative cycles. What makes this current situation different is the scale of visibility. Social media amplifies every interaction, every post, and every perceived slight, turning normal athlete behavior into public debate. That environment creates pressure not just on performance, but on perception management, something no stat sheet can fully capture. As the conversation escalates, it becomes clear that this is no longer just about two players. It's about how media framing can shape legacies in real time.
Best player in the W. Not is she not only not the best player, she is not the best point guard ever, and he compared her to Jeremy Lin.
The Caitlin Clark thing is over because she's not the best player in the WNBA. She's not the best guard in the WNBA. She's not even the best guard from her college class because that's Paige Beckers, who plays for Dallas, who beat them in the season opener. This could be a situation where we look back on Caitlin Clark, and we're not going to look back on her like she's Michael Jordan. She's Jeremy Lin. This is just insanity. She's going to fumble this, and it's because of two things.
Player in the W, not she, Jeremy Lin. This is Justin. This type of framing shows how quickly narratives can be pushed to extremes, either elevating or diminishing a player's entire career arc based on comparison models that don't always hold up under statistical review. The financial impact of these narratives is also massive. Caitlin Clark's presence alone has already been tied to viewership spikes, attendance boosts, and increased merchandise interest. Even critics indirectly acknowledge her influence because the league's visibility shifts depending on her participation. From a long-term standpoint, the league faces a balancing challenge: how to allow open criticism while maintaining a fair evaluation environment for emerging stars. If narratives become too polarizing, they risk overshadowing on-court development entirely. The reality is that players like Clark don't just represent performance, they represent market movement. And that makes every public statement about them more impactful than it would be for a typical player. This is where the future implications become clear. If discourse continues to prioritize extreme comparisons over contextual analysis, the league risks turning legitimate basketball evaluation into constant narrative warfare.
Hell, I think, what's your name and them talked about it? Joe Button. Joe Button went on a whole dialogue about Caitlin Clark. Like 5-10 minutes today on his podcast. Here you go, right here. Let me play some of it.
I'll fucking do it.
No, Caitlin Clark, she's accused of, her fan base is accused of being... No, I'm just saying, her fan base is very racist a lot of times. And they say that she doesn't try to come in and separate that shit. And then for her to walk out with the guy that was caught on...
Hell, I think Awats think she has blind spots. At the end of the day, this entire debate circles back to one truth. Basketball narratives are no longer just about what happens on the court. They are shaped by media interpretation, public reaction, and constant online amplification. The question now becomes simple but powerful. Is Caitlin Clark being held to a standard no other player is facing? Or is this exactly what happens when a generational spotlight arrives in modern sports? The answer depends on perspective. But one thing is undeniable: the conversation around her isn't slowing down anytime soon.